Hello Unlockers. In this bite-sized video I'm going to look at something called the model week, which is a way of structuring our time that can help us to pace ourselves and also to take care of ourselves, because as ADHDers we often have a lot of thoughts going through our mind and we lose a lot of our mental energy racing to do everything at once, transitioning between tasks, not having a clear idea of what our priorities are in both our work life and our personal life, and also kind of worrying about everything all of the time that has to get done while somehow things just aren't getting done. So this is a really common problem for ADHDers, myself included. So the model week is a way of kind of blocking our tasks and activities during the day and during the week so that we can figure out what's actually important to us, compartmentalise by dedicating a certain amount of time to each certain thing, and that kind of helps us to focus better on each task because we're removing distractions. And also the model encourages us to use buffer zones so that we have task overspill time in case something runs over, but also ensuring that we do self-care things, so topping up our dopamine tank so that we don't run out of energy for the things that we do have to do, and just enjoying ourselves and having fun and having meaning in our lives as well, which is really important for our survival because we have an interest-based nervous system. So if we have lots of boring things to do, then obviously we also need to buffer in a bunch of things that will make us feel good, top up the tank and keep our energy levels up. So I'm going to show you an example of a model week, and then I'm going to kind of give you some tips on how to make your own and maybe some common pitfalls that people run into while they're doing this. Okay, so this is an example of a working week, but you can obviously also apply this to your personal life. And of course, everybody's model week is going to look different, but this example that I've made is just to show you how to kind of arrange things in blocks. So as you can see, there are some repeated activities that take place at the same time each day. So for example, you've got admin and emails, and we've also got checking in with colleagues as well. And then you'll notice I've put the meal times and snacks, very important, snacks topping up the tank. They always happen at the same time, and then our morning routine stuff too. We've also set time aside for priority tasks such as project work, so I've got some project work here, and then also meetings. So it really depends on what kind of job you have and what your responsibilities are, but if you do have a think about it, there's going to be some repeated things and you can kind of section them off so that they don't just all kind of end up happening all at the same time and then you'll lose a lot of energy. So there's also a few minutes each morning to be checking in with what the day's plan is and reviewing it, just to make sure that everything is as it should be, and any kind of last minute changes that need to happen, they can happen in that time. And then reviewing the work week and reviewing the weekend, and then kind of scheduling what's going to happen next week is also planned into this so that you don't have to kind of worry about it. We've also made sure that there are buffer zones, so this is a really important part of this. So in case there's any overspill, for example, say you're doing the research for Project A and there's some overspill, or a meeting, there might be some overspill. Also opportunity to top up the tank as well, so just in case we end up hyper-focusing and then we really need to take a break, you might actually want to put more regular buffer zones in. Obviously this is just an example that I've made, but if you want to add breaks in, depending on how long you tend to concentrate for, or depending on how hard the task is to do, then you can make them more regular, but this is just for an example. So maybe making yourself a cup of tea or coffee and only returning to your task once it's drunk. Maybe you want to try and get up and move around because that will help you clear your head and give you an opportunity to stretch and maybe emotionally regulate as well. Maybe dancing or reading a bit of a fantasy novel, standing barefoot outside, looking at a cute cat video, doodling, colouring, maybe even taking a power nap. It completely depends on you, but make sure it's something that you want to be doing that's actually going to be topping up your tank. Sometimes we just habitualise stuff for the sake of it, don't we? And then make sure that you set a timer and put your phone the other side of the room if you're likely to hyper-focus on a task or on a topping up the tank kind of self-care activity, so that you don't then just ignore this amazing schedule that you've made. Don't skip the buffer zones. We're often not that great at kind of feeling into when we're heading towards an empty tank, and then suddenly we're burnt out. So this is for your own good, so don't ignore them. And then finally, organising your week is going to become easier once you know what the repeated activities are and get into the swing of things. So if this looks intimidating, remember that you're front loading all of this work. So if you put time in to schedule this kind of thing now, you're going to save yourself a lot of energy later. And remember, as Michelle has reminded us all, we need to create our routines to be baggy enough to live in. So don't feel pressured to do the things that you've scheduled in at the precise times that you've set yourself. However, as we know, if it's not scheduled, it won't happen. So at least this way you have a good chance of getting stuff done. So I hope that helps, and good luck with your model week scheduling.